columnist for the online publication Newsday and joins us from the US Capitol. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Just ahead of the summit and as it started, looking at the language that these two leaders have used, Xi calling Biden an old friend, it all seems very cordial at the moment. Do you see this as a positive sign?
Oh, obviously, a decision made by these two men to try to, tamp down the tensions that have clearly grown between China and the United States in recent years, first under President Donald Trump, but they've continued under President Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, just a few hours ago here in Washington, when President Biden signed a major bill passed by Congress to spend money on building infrastructure in this country, he said that it would help the U.S. compete with China. So I think both leaders want to make sure that it's competition without violence or some outbreak of warfare. And so, yes, I found them to be quite cordial in the first 2 minutes of the summit. Only those 2 minutes were public. Now they've continued to meet in private.
Well, as that meeting continues, we understand it's now in the second half. Obviously, many issues on the table. Taiwan, I would imagine, would definitely be spoken about. A bit of a red line there for both those countries, though, a big source of contention between the two.
Well, you have to admit, Yashni, that it's in a way more important to the People's Republic of China to claim, as the PRC has always done, that Taiwan is an integral part of China. They've allowed Taiwan to have its own government, but they're always threatening they might in some way take over Taiwan. So in recent weeks, the United States government has said it would not let that happen, actually threatening military action if China were to make a move against Taiwan. So that is a major source of tension. You may wonder, and some American people do as well, would the U.S. really go to war for Taiwan, even for the sake of the technology industry? All the semiconductors that are manufactured in Taiwan, it's that important to the U.S. economy, as well as the U.S. showing that it really means business and won't let China do that. I'm sure that in private, the two leaders are talking about Taiwan and how to keep it peaceful.
Well, how important is a steady, good relationship between these two countries, not just on a bilateral level, but globally as well? Because it does seem that whatever happens between the two of them does affect everyone else in the world.
I think it affects all of our viewers all around the globe because the U.S. and China are the two biggest economies on earth. It is going to be helpful if they trade in a calm way, not with some of the tariffs that have disrupted trade in recent years. And so what are people looking for? That perhaps some of those tariffs will be canceled, if not during the meeting taking place right now, but maybe in the coming weeks. There could be follow-on talks. And of course, there are U.S. manufacturers like the aircraft company Boeing that would love to hear of a major order by the People's Republic of China. U.S. industries aren't sure whether they can get that, but it's what American industry would like.
Dan, just very quickly, do you think that we're going to see any sort of firm resolutions coming out of this meeting, or is this just more of a door opening to further consultations?
Here in Washington, we were really struck as both governments and certainly the spokespeople here in Washington said, don't expect a joint statement. So we'll get a readout. We'll get some information about what they spoke about. But I think everyone's trying to lower expectations. But the cordiality is a bit of optimism. And let's see if President Biden is invited to the Winter Olympics in China. Could be a problem because the Biden administration is thinking of boycotting those Olympics on human rights grounds. Yashni.
Very interesting indeed. Dan Raviv, live to us there from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much.